Perfect. All right, let's go ahead and jump into things. Again, thank you to everyone who is able to join us today. We've had a fantastic number of registrants so far. Just really, really excited about today's webinar. We have some fantastic speakers lined up. So let's get into things. Um, so first and foremost, this is the Diversity in Cycling Finding Your Bike Community webinar. I am Paul Strahl, part of the Sustainable Travel Services team with Go Triangle, and I'm your host for today. We have a lot to learn from our three presenters, and we'll be sure to open things up a little bit later in the webinar so we can have a question and answer session. But before we get started, I do want to address some housekeeping items. So all users will start off muted. If for any reason you're unmuted, if we can have you mute yourself until we get into the question and answer portion, that would be appreciated. Questions can be submitted throughout the webinar through chat, so that's perfectly fine. Feel free to open up that chat window. If you're not very familiar with Zoom, we do have the controls listed on this screen here, so you'll see the chat option and how you can send messages to individuals or everyone. There's a variety of control options in Zoom, so feel free to explore, and you'll see that the mute option is listed down there. On the left, I'm going to mute somebody as we talk about muting people. And like I said, feel free to ask questions as we go along. During the question and answer portion, if you wanted to ask your question in person, which we love to open up the floor to in-person questions, feel free to raise your hand when that time comes. You'll see that there's a reaction option down in your toolbar. So that'll be how you do that. So just for a little bit of fun, in case you haven't used some of these Zoom features before, wanted to toss out a sort of an informal poll, if you will. So if you're a cyclist who likes to ride, or you ride with a group, we'll just say a group is maybe 2 or more people, pretty minimal number of people to have a group, and you ride on a regular basis, and we'll just say once a month. Click on the reaction tab and go ahead and click on the heart emoji. I want to see how many heart emojis we have out there. Which would be a good way for us to kind of gauge who we're looking at today. So while you do that, one more item to address as far as Zoom controls are concerned. So today we do have a live transcript, which is really pleased to offer. It's one of our first times having a live transcription service provided. This can be turned on or off. So whenever you joined, you should see that the transcription service is enabled. If you would like to disable it, go ahead and just click on the live transcript. You can hide subtitles, you can turn them back on, you can play around a little bit with your settings. So feel free to explore that. And then I always hate to start off a webinar with just a bunch of jargon, but if you're new to webinars based on transportation demand management, or TDM services offered throughout the Triangle region, then I wanted to take a moment to address part of the reason why we're here today. Today's webinar is focused in part on the regional concern of improving air quality and reducing congestion. We often do this by exploring transportation options other than driving alone. So if helping people feel more comfortable cycling is a means to fewer people driving, especially driving alone, then we want to help those cyclists. Additionally, we want to empower the cycling community to find the right group, or possibly even form the right group for themselves and others. So you can learn more at gotriangle.org/employer services. But more importantly, we're all very fortunate to have our presenters today. We're going to learn a lot about diversity in cycling, and then the value of finding your bike community. So that's it. We get to have we get to hear from our first presenter. So Itza Salazar with Triangle Bikeworks. Itza learned how to bike at a very young age, and in high school, she was one of the original 7 students who participated in the Triangle Bikeworks pilot. After graduating from the program, she began to volunteer there and is now the organization's program director. So I am going to hand it on over to Itza.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. So today I'm going to share a story with you. Like Paul said, my name is Itza Salazar. I'm an avid cyclist and the program director with Triangle Bikeworks. Today, I wanted to share with you how in 2010 jump-started my journey as a cyclist. I was in the 10th grade when I was invited to be a part of Triangle Bikeworks pilot program called Spoken Revolutions, where I would receive a bike, learn bike handling skills, and train to complete a 60-mile bike ride. I learned how to bike when I was 3 years old. My dad taught me and my siblings. We would ride around our home, then eventually started exploring adjacent neighborhoods At some point, my siblings stopped wanting to ride with me, and riding alone wasn't fun. So I thought to myself, why not try something new? I joined the Spoken Revolutions program, learned some bike handling skills, learned how to properly wear a helmet, and went on 2 7-mile rides before our scheduled spring ride in Edenton, North Carolina. This was a 3-day trip. So day one, we got there and we got our sleeping bags set up for a good night's sleep and a team meeting to see if we were still up for doing 60-mile rides since we only had 2 practices thanks to the rain. Without hesitation, all the guys in the group said yes. Then they all looked over at me and I too said yes. I wasn't going to say no to them. Years later, I did find out that they wanted me to say no. That way we could all do 30 miles instead of 60. Day 2, we woke up at 7 a.m. I put my first pair of bike shorts. Side note, did you know bike shorts are not a padding of foam in the shape of a block, but it's actually in the shape of the bike seat? I didn't. Anywho, we got back. We got on our hefty bikes. They were bulky. They had mountain bike tires on them. And then we set off to complete our 60-mile bike ride. It was the hardest, most painful thing I had ever done to that point in my life. I couldn't sit on my bike seat after we were done. It took us hours. But there were several things I realized that day. 1, I'm really strong. 2, I really enjoyed pushing myself and knowing that I was the one powering my bike. 3, I wanted more. 4, the cycling world was made up of 60-year-old white men, and we were the youngest people out there. 5, I really enjoyed hanging out with my friends. After the trip, the team got back together. To the adult surprise, no one had quit, and we all really wanted more. That's when they gave us 3 sets of maps. We could choose our next adventure. My teammates and I were drawn to one map in particular, the map of the Underground Railroad, starting in Mobile, Alabama, and going up to Niagara Falls, New York. This was an 1,800-mile journey. We knew we could do 60 miles, so we divided 1,800 by 60, and so we realized we could do this trip in 30 days. And that's exactly what we did in 2011. Since 2011, I have been able to bike through 28 states, retrace and uncover the history of the Underground Railroad, the journey the Buffalo Soldiers took, the Trail of Tears, the Gullah Geechee Cultural Heritage Corridor, and many, many more. I was only in 10th grade when I first started cycling with this team and completely changed my outlook on biking. I graduated from the program in 2012, but the biking bug had bit me. I fell in love with the Triangle Bikeworks program because we traveled, because we learned about untold history, about the environment, land and water conservation, and really seeing the world from the backseat of a bike. Little did the adults know that I wasn't going to go anywhere. While I was off at college, I still found ways to volunteer with Triangle Bikeworks and the SNR program. Every summer, I was invited back to make the summer tours possible. In 2018, I created our Bikes, Water, and Soul tour, which was the first bike tour that stayed in North Carolina. In 2019, I became the first staff member of Triangle Bikeworks. Triangle Bikeworks is a youth empowerment nonprofit located in Carrboro, North Carolina. At Triangle Bikeworks, we use biking and outdoor activities to engage BIPOC youth in organized cycling, untold history, and environmental education to strengthen their efforts to overcome challenges, achieve audacious goals, and discover their true selves. Our programs are open to middle school and high school age youth in Orange, Durham, Chatham, and Wake County. It's 100% free for all our participants, and we provide all the gear you need, like a bike and cycling clothes. And yes, we have upgraded our bikes. They weigh so much less than what they used to back in 2010. I would like to note that participants don't have to know how to ride a bike. We will teach them. I will teach them. We will build their confidence on the road and on the trails. Paul, can you hit next? We have 3 programs that I want to share with you today. So the Spoken Revolutions, it is our road cycling program. Timberwolves mountain biking program, it is a mountain biking program. Let's Ride community bike events, and this is for a community. We go into local communities and we set up this 6 to 7 mile bike ride, and it is led by our youth. It is marshaled by our youth, and our youth also bring up the tail of it. It is this moment for us to take over the road and just have that biking community fun. Anyone who's interested in learning more about our programs, volunteering, head over to our website, trianglebikeworks.org, or reach out to me directly. I will drop all this information in the chat for you for easy access. I have shared my story with you, and I also want you to know that there are different styles of cycling. I'm in love with road cycling. I tolerate mountain biking, commuting, bike touring, cyclocross. There's many, many more. Along with the different styles of cycling, there's also so many groups and organizations in the Triangle area. I found my home away from home at Triangle Bikeworks, and I know you can find yours too. I just wanted to say thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak and share my story. And I'll turn it back to you.
I have a question.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you. Good.
So are people able to join some of your rides that are not youth? You mentioned that there's volunteering, but I didn't know if the rides are specifically only for the youth population.
Yeah, absolutely. So volunteering really just means you go through training with us, and you become a Triangle Bikeworks mentor, and you could be a mentor on the road. So you either as a newbie cyclist, because I've had adults or even parents say, I've never biked before, but I want to do this. So if you've never biked before, you'll do training with me before you join the team. But if you do, then you join the team, and you're there to also guide and empower the youth as they start their journey on a bike. You can volunteer at any, if you want to do road cycling or mountain biking. You can also just come out with your family at our community ride events that will be happening 4 times a year.
I have a question.
Yeah, Tamara, yeah, please go ahead.
Okay, so I saw this on my news feed and I thought, wow, this is great, because when I was a youth, I used to ride my bike everywhere. I grew up in the Finger Lakes, and I rode my bike around the lake before it was like a big thing. But we live here in North Carolina, and I'm looking for a group with older women to ride with, just, to ride the bike paths and stuff, because I'm all by myself. I have my husband, and I also have an 18-year-old son who's rather isolated. He doesn't want to go to college, and I'm looking for things for him to do, but I don't fall into a ethnic category, and I don't fall into any categories. I'm just a person who's trying to make it in this life, and I'm just looking for opportunities for me and my family to be healthy. Would this opportunity be something that would accept maybe my son who's 18?
Yeah, I think actually just. Oh yeah, go ahead. It's a please.
Tamara, please email me, and I would love to not only just connect you. You're going to hear about 2 other presentations and their groups and the amazing work that they do. But I would love to connect with you and help you find your cycling group. So I dropped my email in the chat. Feel free to email me, and we can do that.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, and we'll actually have some additional resources that we'll talk about a little bit later here. So that's a perfectly timed question. Again, I apologize for the technical issues. Nothing better than technical issues during the middle of a webinar. So thank you very much. I apologize that we skimmed through your slides really quickly. We'll make sure that this recording is posted. All the slideshows will be included as well. All the contact information, it'll be out there. So I apologize for technical glitches. Finger crossed that was it. So let's go ahead and we're going to go into the next presenter, Yvette Trotman. Yvette Trotman with Black Girls Do Bike. Yvette is a North Carolina native and a shero for Black Girls Do Bike, the Raleigh chapter, and a certified league cycling instructor, or LCI, through the League of American Bicyclists. She loves helping others to begin their journey as they fall in love with cycling. So I'm going to hand it on over to you, Yvette.
Thank you, Paul. As he said, I am Yevette Trotman with Black Girls Do Bike. You can hit the next, Paul. Our vision as Black Girls Do Bike was to establish a comfortable place where both seasoned and new female cyclists can support one another, organize rides, and promote skill set sharing. We seek the bike curious. Next. Our founder is Monica Garrison. She is from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and she founded Black Girls Do Bike just out of the need or summer of cycling in 2013, out of the need of finding female cyclists that look like her. It was a question was do Black girls bike? And as of today, we now have more than 100 chapters. Monica began to search the web to find out if there were any other cycling groups out there, and that's how we became Black Girls Do Bike. Next. In Raleigh, we have 8 chapters. Raleigh, Durham, and Greenville chapters. We work really closely together in organizing rides and helping ladies get on their bikes. Next. The mission of Black Girls Do Bike, Black Girls Do Bike interest is growing and supporting a community of women of color who share a passion for cycling. We champion efforts to introduce the joy of cycling to all women, but especially Black women and girls. We look to share positive images of ladies and their bikes to affirm the truth that Black girls do indeed bike. We totally rejoice when women choose cycling as a tool for an alternate mode of transportation or self-care, but most importantly, to empower themselves. We want to be a non-intimidating introduction into cycling. We hope to be a gateway to usher African-American women into the larger cycling community. We support bike advocacy, awareness, education, and safety in all our communities and corners of the world. Next. Our core value is inclusivity. All shades of women are welcome into Black Girl Do Bike Ride. We are safety conscious. We always foster a positive fellowship, and we believe in paying it forward through our skill sharing and bringing others along for the bike ride. Next. The statistics show that according to the CDC, 4 out of 5 African-American women are overweight or obese. African-American women have statistically much higher rates of heart disease, diabetes, stroke in comparison to our white and Hispanic counterparts. We know that cycling encourages both physical and mental health. More than 80% of the American women have a positive view of bicyclists, and 2/3 think their community would be a better place to live if riding a bike were safer and more comfortable. Next. Gluskin County Group in 2020 did a study, and it showed that 60% of bicycle owners between the age of 18 and 27 are women. 45% of bicycle owners between the ages of 28 and 45 are women. 49% of bicycle owners between the ages of 50 and 68 are women. So as you can see, just from that stat alone, we as women are taking over the cycling community. In 2012, women accounted for 37% of the bicycle market. Next. So what we're learning as Black Girls Do Bike. that women of color are underrepresented in the cycling community. And that goes for ridership, advocacy, racing, media, and business owners. We all know that cycling is addictive and empowering and expensive. Women of color are hungry for images that reflect them. Ladies of all shapes and sizes enjoy cycling and covering long distances on their bike. We also learned that injured runners often turn to cycling for a low-impact workout. We also know that female cyclists are perceived differently than male riders and can face abuse when riding in traffic situations. Next. Some other things that we are learning is that Black Girls Do Bike is creating an unintimidating introduction into cycling. We provide a dose of inspiration, knowledge, and news. Again, there are over 100 plus chapters of Black Girls Do Bike, and it makes a path for ladies to connect. Black Girls Do Bike has over 25,000 followers across all forms of social media, and more than 18,000 chapter members. And I should say we do not charge a membership fee. Next. We have a couple of upcoming cycling events during the off season. One is coming up in 2 weeks. It is Pedal in Pink. It is a breast cancer awareness ride. And that's going to be October the 24th. At 3 p.m. We'll be starting from Anderson Point Park. And always on Black Friday, we choose to opt outside instead of going shopping. And there'll be more details later about that ride. Next. And here you have our social media contacts for the Black Girls Do Bike Raleigh chapter. We're on Facebook and a private page, Instagram, and a Strava club. And again, we only welcome women of all races to our group. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thanks so much. I appreciate that, Yvette. As we were planning this webinar and looking for speakers, and I was actually introduced into the Black Girls Do Bike community, and it's just incredibly impressive. It's so far reaching. I really had no idea. And so I couldn't tell you how excited we were to have you share that information today. So thank you again. I really, really appreciate that. So next we're going to transition over to Debra Franklin. Debra recently retired from the Charlotte area transit system, where she encouraged transit passengers to consider biking to the bus. Debra is a bike mechanic at her company, the Bicycle Oven Company, You Go Bike, and her nonprofit Tar State Transportation Alliance. As a league cycling instructor, another LCI, she has helped facilitate the training of other cyclists, and through AARP, she is an instructor of both the bicycle-friendly motorist and smart driver courses. Debra has participated in the NC delegation to DC as part of the National Bike Summit for the past several years, and she brings a great perspective to BikeWalkNC as a board member. So everyone help me welcome Debra.
Hello, I'm Debra Franklin, and thank you all for joining us today. First, I'm going to begin with my childhood and my story, or why I did what I did. My dad taught me how to ride a tricycle, but I remember that I wanted to ride a big wheel, so I had big rocks in my cheek while he guided me. But my dad didn't have time to teach me how to ride a bicycle, so they sent us to the Park District, and this was in the Chicago suburbs, to learn how to ride. Then one day when I was about 13 years old, my dad brought home 4 brand new bicycles, and that was for myself and my 3 sisters. So I would say my first group ride was with my sisters. Now, my sisters weren't inclined to be athletic, and so they would only ride to go to the store. So I guess with my sisters, that was my first designation ride. And I remember I used to have to pay them to ride with me on group rides, because who wants to ride by themselves? So I kept on riding my bicycle without them. And I would use my bicycle as a paper girl. I delivered newspapers, and I used my bicycle to get to my various babysitting jobs. Then I went to college. I lived off campus at the very beginning of my college career. So I didn't have a bike, so I walked. But I think it was parents' visiting day. My father bought my orange bicycle to the college visit, which I was so delighted. And so I began to use my bicycle for transportation. So if you follow the ages or my ages, that's learn to ride bicyclists. That was me. And then in college, I was a bicyclist for transportation. So I'm organized, but if I don't write it down, I miss promises. I miss promises to be somewhere on a Pacific day at a Pacific time, like today, Paul. But I need my appointment book. It's my reminder, it's my memory. Next slide. So I went digital when everything went online. I went digital for a year, but if you know anything about tablets or computers, they lose memory as well. So today I am still using appointment books. That's 27 years of appointment books, 27 books. So I can share a walk of time through, I can share a walk through time on my bicycle. Next slide. So when you talk about bicycling, first of all, you need to know your audience. So this 2-year-old came to my house one day. I was deep into my career as a mental health counselor, and she told me she wanted to watch Barney. So of course, I turned on the Andy Griffin Show. She seemed so disinterested. So I was trying to think, who is Barney? So I turned it to the Flintstones. I had no clue that Barney was a purple dinosaur. And so she told her mother, when her mother came to pick her up, that I didn't let her watch Barney. Next slide. So age-wise, if your audience is over 50 to 60, they may own a bicycle for fitness or socialization. A 30-year-old may enjoy competitive racing. They may want to ride a bike with cornfields on either side so they can just ride. Teenage boys, they enjoy doing tricks versus riding. So their reference is probably the BMX groups. And I found girls and women may enjoy a structured LCI smart cycling program. They have that attention. Because you don't want them to say, she didn't let me watch Barney. So So our hats are my hats, education-wise, we have transportation planners, we have greenway engineers, we have bicycle and pedestrian coordinators, and those are in the city, the counties, the state, or even national coordinators. Training-wise, we have the League of American Bicyclists. We even have cycling savvy educators. We have USA Cycling, and I noticed there's some other groups in the chat that we have as far as bicycling. And so we bicycle different ways. So let's get cycled. Find your group. So if you follow the ages, you have Learn to Ride Bicyclists. For that little girl that wanted to ride the big wheels, we prefer balance bikes, but you have to go with what your student wants. So use the balance bikes, bring the big wheels, training wheels, tricycles. We have transportation bicyclists. We have social or casual bicyclists. We have bicyclists that ride for fitness. We have competitive cyclists. Then we have government officials or funding partners that they're interested in bicycles. So if we're able to tell our story, they may fund bicycling for everyone, because you don't want anyone to say, she didn't let me watch Barney. Next slide. So these are several other groups that I'm involved with, including LCI. Then we have the Black youth, and those are the boys. As far as smart cycling programs, they like to they like to ride for tricks. And so know your audience. You don't want someone to come to a training session or a group ride and never see them again. So know your audience. Right now, I'm retired, and my audience will be seniors. The older adults, I'll be riding with older adults. Older adults says that we have separated them. They like the senior housing and all that kind of stuff, but they want to group ride with all ages as well. So know your audience, because you don't want them to say, she didn't let me watch Barney. So the next slide, I will conclude. I am a board member of Bike Walk North Carolina, and we will be in Durham, North Carolina, the first week in November. I know Heidi is on the call, so if Heidi can drop in a registration. And we're also, you heard several times about the LCI course, and I have 2 scholarships, and unfortunately that's for a person of color. So I have 2 scholarships to get away if any of you guys are interested in becoming a certified league instructor, and you get to teach smart cycling to all ages and to all groups. Thank you for your attention.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Debra. I appreciate that. So yeah, I wanted to take just a little bit of time out of today's webinar to talk about something that we're incredibly excited to announce, and it's the launch of the TriangleBikeGroups.com website. TriangleBikeGroups.com, it's a resource that we've developed to help find cycling groups. A lot of this planning for this webinar is what got a lot of us talking about how can we connect cyclists with other cyclists or people who are considering cycling to find the community group that's right for them. And as we were talking to more and more experts in the field, we realized it's just a challenge that exists out there. And hosting this webinar seemed like a really good option and a path forward to help introduce people into different cycling communities and groups and resources, but I don't think we wanted to leave it there. And so we decided that a dedicated page to help people find a lot of these cycling groups could be beneficial. And so really excited, we put a lot of time and effort into getting this thing launched, and it's going to be something that we continue to develop and promote. So we're encouraging and promoting cycling groups as a means of feeling safe and being welcomed by like communities through this website. So with Triangle Bikeworks, just a real quick explanation of what it is we have reached out to a lot of different cycling communities, and we've asked them to fill out a form, tell us a little bit about themselves, a lot of different identifiers. You can go through the website and select which identifiers match up with you or your desires or align with you. So ideally what you can do is go through, make some selections, and then connect with some cycling groups that kind of either align with your values or who you are as a person, and get connected with other people. So we really hope that this site can take off. I really appreciate the time and effort of the groups that have filled out the form so far. We'd love to have any and every single cycling group that exists out there listed on this page. We really hope that it takes off. I think we'd love to do this same webinar again next year, probably same time, and we're going to have more and more experts coming in, more and more community group members coming in, telling us their story, which I think is really, really powerful. As you're hearing today, we're just getting a lot of really good information. Additionally, some resources. We're going to continue to add resources to the bottom part of the page. Heidi, you're going to get another shout out. I know we saw you in chat again. Had an email exchange with Heidi earlier today. We were making some updates for the Bike Carbo information. She reminded me that Bike Carbo, they have the North Carolina bike laws translated into 6 different languages, for example. So that's just fantastic. So there's a lot of really good resources that are out there that we want to make sure everyone knows about. So please feel free to explore that site. So now we want to transition into the Q&A portion of this. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen my computer didn't bonk out for 2 presentations, so it feels like we're doing pretty good here, y'all. So I appreciate you sticking with me. I know some questions have come in through chat. Please feel free to continue to post those questions in chat. I appreciate that. If you'd like to ask a question in person, that's perfectly fine. Just feel free to click on that raise hand option down there in the reactions toolbar. And I think I'll start with Yvette. I did see a question that came in, and I think you've tackled this through chat, but I think having you just give a little bit better explanation to the group would be appreciated, because I think there's some interest in connecting the youth audience into some cycling groups. So can you tell us a little bit about the Black Girls Do Bike? What are the options for, I guess, youth ridership through your group?
We do welcome the youth women. We welcome them all the time. My fondest memory is one of our cyclists, Quintisha, and her daughter. She brought a 15-year-old daughter with us to us, and she's been cycling. I think she just completed a metric century earlier this year, and she's a boss on the bike. So we do welcome women of all colors, shapes and sizes, and we do welcome the young ladies also, and then the young girls. The Durham chapter just recently had an event, Little Black Girls Do Bike, I think was the name of it. And just getting them out on bikes and taking them for a ride. And that's something we're going to incorporate in the Raleigh chapter also for 2022. The Little Black Girls Do Bike also. So we will be incorporating stuff for the youth in the future.
Fantastic, thank you. And I know Itza, you maybe tapped into that a little bit earlier as well. I apologize, I was probably in the panic of trying to get my computer to work. Are there any additional, I guess, opportunities available through Triangle Bikeworks or your group for kind of the youth riders out there?
Yeah, so we do the road cycling, which is Spoken Revolutions, and we do road cycling that leads up to a 3-day or 2-week bike tour. So not only do you get the ability to ride on trails, ride on the road, but you get the ability to travel if that's something that you're interested in. We also have Timberwolves, which is our mountain biking program, where you get to learn how to handle your bike on trails, do that safely, how to pass, trail advocacy. And then those students get the ability to race in youth mountain bike races. And that's something, if they want to do, we'll travel out and do the 5 races. And there are other groups in Chapel Hill, in Durham, in Wake County that are now starting up mountain bike race teams. Some of them are within schools and some of them are county based. And that is through an organization called NICA. And so NICA does youth mountain bike races. And that is another great opportunity for younger riders. And then, like I said, we have our community events. And so this is open to any riders. And we have different, like if you bring a itty bitty and itty bitty can't do 7 miles, then that is okay. I will have a obstacle course for them to maneuver through with cones at the very start. And that's something that they can participate in. But we do have these community events that anyone, and it doesn't matter what bike you bring, usually will stay on the road. So if you do only have a road bike, it's safe for you, but it's anyone and it's a no drop event. And I love the fact that our youth lead that.
Yeah, that's fantastic to hear. I think one of the concerns that I didn't really realize was prevalent was I guess the experience that a lot of users have, especially with whenever they think they're finding the right group for them. It says no drop, and then they get out there, they're ready for a good ride, but maybe a bit more casual than they're thinking, and then all of a sudden the group takes off and they've just been left in the dust, and I think that can be a pretty frustrating experience. So I think connecting people to the right groups, the right individuals, that's all a key component of this. And it sounds like y'all are on the right path with everything you do. So I appreciate that. So let's see, there's a ton of chat messages coming in, and I appreciate that. Heidi, she asks, is there a Black Girls Do Bike in Chapel Hill group?
Not at this time. There's the Durham group, there's a Winston-Salem and a Greensboro, but not a Chapel Hill at this time.
Gotcha. So maybe we can make things happen here with,
And
with
that
the
is
group
possible.
that we have.
That is very possible.
So this question is for Debra. I think so you have just a wealth of experience. I guess I'm curious to see, like, where do you think we'll be in like 5 to 10 years from now? Are we going to see? I know that she gave a lot of. She kind of stole some of my thunder. I had a bunch of stats and some numbers to recite, but that you captured all of those fantastically. But I'm kind of curious. Do you think we're going to see the change that we would like to see? Like, what's the path forward, and where do you think we'll be in like 5 to 10 years from now? Just from how you feel things are going.
So we have what they call the bicycle boom over the pandemic, I can't remember the name of the pandemic, the virus. And so we had a bicycle boom where everyone started riding bicycles, especially for family rides, because we weren't supposed to come in contact with anyone in our family. And so now they're trying to decide whether this boom is here to stay, if people will continue to bicycle, since they found something that they used to do in their childhood that they can now do as an adult. And as far as the group ride and all of that, eventually that will come back. Right now, I'm at a conference in Wilmington, and so we're trying this conference, and we're not really social distancing, but we all have a mask. So we have to see what happens in 10 days to see if this was a spreader event. And so right now, I think people are really thinking about how our new relations as far as to each other. Will we be able to do the same things that we did in the past? And I say yes. And as far as this bicycle boom, I believe that that's up to us on what we do, because we do not want to introduce people to bicycling, and then for whatever reason, tomorrow they're not bicycling because someone did or said something that pretty much makes them not want to come back. And so I think it's up to us to educate ourselves and educate others, find out that Barney is a purple dinosaur or whatever is going on with different groups. I remember that when the network went down, someone mentioned that there's not a spot for them, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to find groups for everyone. So don't be discouraged. We're coming after you. So don't be discouraged.
Love it. All right. So I see Kim Johnson, she's reached out to me. I think she has a question. Are you able to ask that question in person, Kim?
Sure. I'm just wondering if there are any groups, and this is for all three of you, if there are any groups that you are aware of that target the seniors in our community so that they don't have to resort to mall walking for physical activity.
So I cycle with seniors. Let me explain a little bit about myself. I'm moving from Charlotte. I just retired September 1st as a CATS bus operator. So in Charlotte, I had a senior group. So now I'm in Apex, North Carolina, and that's right outside Raleigh. And I'm in Durham all the time right now. So we are, and also Mary Jo she's trying to start a group with seniors as well. So we're trying to get over COVID, but there's a lot of folks that want to ride bicycles that's over 50, 60 years old. And so that's what I mean when I say we're coming for you, because now I'm a senior. So anybody who rides with me, they just rode with the senior group. So we're coming after you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Thank you, Kim and Debra. Another question I've received. And this ties in nicely to kind of the overall purpose of kind of this webinar is trying to find that secret solution of how do we connect people together. And so I'm curious, and this is I guess a question for all three of you, and feel free to chime in. I guess, what are the tools that have worked best for you? I know that there's the social media platforms that can be good, but I think there's challenges. Occasionally they go down, apparently. So I wonder if social media is the avenue that has worked best for you. Is it your own dedicated website, or is it just outreach at an internal level? So maybe I could start with you, because I know you do have your own dedicated website. I'm kind of curious, like, what's been successful for how you reach your audience?
For how we reach our audience, so we do so we have our website, we have our social media accounts, but we do a lot of presentations, either specifically to parents, or we go into the school system and do presentations. I don't know if I missed the question too.
No, I think that answers it. Yvette, yeah, I think especially with such a strong social media presence and Facebook, I'm kind of curious, is that kind of the path forward? Also know that the Black Girls Do Bike has a fantastic website that has a lot of resources. So I'm kind of curious, from your perspective, what's been the best tool that you have with connecting to other individuals?
Social media and just getting out riding, or t-shirts or something like that. And I really get a lot of comments upon if you're wearing a t-shirt or something like that. Yeah, we do ride and stuff like that. And they want to know, if there's a ride in Chapel Hill, or if there's a chapter in Fayetteville, or things like that. So just social media for the most part, and just advertisement.
Perfect. Yeah. Again, that's part of what I think we're hoping to help achieve today, is getting people connected and linking people to resources that maybe they didn't know were available. So somebody did ask in chat, where can a person get a bicycle if they can't afford one? I wonder if, I think a link has been posted in chat, but I wonder if anyone else has any recommendations.
I did want to share, so you can always look at and check out the Recyclery. They are located in Carborough, and then the Durham Bike Co-op. And so these are two organizations that use volunteer help and donated bikes, and they will help fit you on one. And they both have their different things as to like how you earn one. But definitely check them out. They're either free or affordable bikes. Definitely worth it. Definitely check them out. And I saw someone dropped in the link for the Durham Bike Co-op, and I can also go grab the link for the Recyclery and put it in there.
That'd be perfect. Yeah, please go ahead, Debra.
A little bit of my experience is in bicycle mechanics, and so I do prepare bikes for folks. But as I stated, I just retired September, so I'm trying to get my get things settled in Apex. But I plan to have some type of recyclery in Apex. And let me just tell you one thing about earning a bike programs. I came across some Black youth in Charlotte, and I think we pretty much research people out. And so when I was trying to tell them about the recyclery, as soon as I said they had to commit to a program, they sort of walked away. And I still think about that. And so we have to figure out a way to get bicycles in the hands of youth, and then maybe do the program later once we get everyone riding. So I am going to figure out a way to get bicycles into the hands of people that need them.
That's wonderful to hear. Thank you. I will say that there's a lot of really good links and resources that are being shared in chat. So be sure to keep up with all of that. Again, to reiterate, we're going to make sure that we'll follow up with everybody, a link to the recording of this. We'll make sure everyone has the links that are being shared in chat, but there's a whole lot of information that's being shared there. I think John Talmadge, you had linked as quickly as I found it, it's gone now. John Talmadge, look for his links, good stuff. I think that Durham Bike Co-op, if I'm not mistaken, .org. Let's see. Yeah, more links are coming in. Recyclery.org, fantastic organization. They were kind enough to actually fill out the Triangle Bikeworks.com page. So the Recyclery, their information can be found there. Let's see, so we have another question. Does anyone know of a group that engages in building physical fitness to enable or enhance riding? I'll maybe leave it at there.
Are they referring to they want to be a faster rider and going for speed?
So he says, my road bike has collected dust for 2 years. I've been there. I feel I should get in better shape before jumping back into the seat, but maybe just using that as an excuse. I respect the honesty. A nice thing is maybe some virtual rides, something like that. So yeah, it sounds like just kind of getting back into the swing of things. And maybe we don't have the magical answer, and that's okay. I think
I can sort of add to that a little bit. I don't know if anyone noticed the cycle bars that's popping up around town, and so is stationary bicycling. Now I haven't really went into one yet, but that is something that I plan to do, and I know they do it for fitness. And so you may try looking up cycle bars. I don't know their prices, but I think that would be a good start as far as physical fitness and just getting used to the saddle again.
It does take a little bit.
I also wanted to add.
Yes, please.
Sorry. I also wanted to add that there is no right time to start biking. The physical fitness part comes as you start biking. So we've had students who, like I said, join and have never ridden a bike. And within 8 riding sessions with me, we've gone from 0 miles on a bike to completing their 14-mile bike ride to and from the ice cream store that we go to here in Chapel Hill. And so I will say, don't say I'm not physically fit yet to get on a bike. The first step is getting on it and seeing how far you can go. If you can go 3 miles, great. Next time, shoot for passing that mile marker. And for rainy days, you can look at the stationary bikes inside. They're always a nice option. So.
Beautifully stated. Yeah, couldn't agree more. Well, that's going to end the Q&A. I apologize if we missed anyone's questions. I might have lost some questions from earlier in the session today, but we'll make sure that we follow up with everybody. I did want to take the last few minutes to recognize a few important individuals and give you all some important information moving forward. So I really wanted to give a big thank you to the planning committee today. A tremendous amount of effort has gone into finding these presenters, and they're absolutely fantastic. And so getting quality presenters is tricky and challenging, and so they knocked it out of the park. So thank you, planning committee. I want to recognize everyone: Amanda Simmons, UNC at Chapel Hill; Ann DeLam, City of Raleigh; Anna Reynolds, City of Durham; Kim Johnson, Go Triangle; Lynn Cohn, Go Chapel Hill; and then Tyler Dewey with Duke University. Thank you all so much. I really can't thank you enough. Again, a lot of effort has gone into making today happen. We also have a survey, and we're going to drop this link into chat. We'd love to get your feedback on this. So the survey, it'll link you to some important resources that we have, but we always like to get feedback from our attendees. Again, I think we'd like to see where this goes in the future. Hearing from such fantastic presenters, it's inspirational and it's moving, and I think we would love to have more of this moving forward. So we'd like to hear your feedback. Feel like see if this was successful for you or not, and then we'll see where this takes us. We have listed all the contact information for each of our presenters, so feel free to connect with them. They have websites, they have social media presence, as you've seen shared today, but definitely make sure to check out each of these individuals. They're incredibly insightful. There's a wealth of information that we didn't even barely get to explore today. In the conversations I've had, there's just so much vital information out there to be shared, and so I think feel free to pick everyone's brains. But I'll wrap it up with that. I just want to give everyone a big thank you. Thank you to so many people that have registered for this event today. Thank you to our presenters. Wonderful information. And again, we will share this recording with everybody. We'll share all the tons of links it looks like that were shared in chat. We'll make sure we summarize all that and share that with everybody at some point in the near future. But otherwise, I just want to thank you and hope you have a fantastic rest of your day.